Yes, brother. Brother, what we're going to do today is a little bit of a college football playoff fallout.
Yep, that's what we're going to call this one. That's what we're going to wrap about on this one. So we just wrapped up last night's New Year's Eve games of Michigan TCU with a unfortunate loss by the Michigan Wolverines and a victory by TCU. And a great Georgia victory over the Ohio State nasty-ass Buckeyes. So...
Yeah. I would have rather had Georgia win. I would have rather had Ohio State win. But
it was a great day because let me just tell you, anytime Ohio State loses, it's a good day. Even though we lost, at least they don't get a national title against TCU, where they could have said, we won the war, but lost the battle on November 26th against you. We get to avoid all that. Was a Michigan guy.
Yeah, but I got to watch Georgia win another national title.
Brother, you've got 6 in the last, 8 years?
I got to watch Stetson Bennett, stupid ass, win another national title. Dumbass. What do you call him? Dumbass.
Dumb shit asshole.
Dumb shit asshole.
I don't think he's a dumb shit asshole, though.
He's a dumb shit asshole.
So now we look at, brother, we got TCU and Georgia. The last two boys standing. It's been a long season. Georgia's undefeated at 14-0, I believe, and TCU has 1 loss. Does that give them 13-1?
How many games we playing nowadays in college football? This might as well just be like a full-blown NFL season.
Yeah, I was listening to a YouTube channel the other day, and it's one of my favorite ones. I'm not going to mention.
Was it Smith Boys Podcast?
It's the Michigan podcast, actually. But they had this guy on there from Ohio State. He's an Ohio State guy. Is the voice of college football, Mark Rogers. Very knowledgeable guy when it comes to college football in particular. But it was just one of those things where he was just basically the college football season is the greatest season of all of sports because it's so short, it's so sweet. You only typically get like 11, 12 games. You know, it's the shortest season, and it's the one, to me, I love the most. I love college football more than any other
I would say
sport.
I do, too. It's almost like every week in the regular season is the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because you can only... You
can't lose.
Yeah. You can maybe be granted 1 loss. Maybe, depending on what everyone else does.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things growing up. Like, I always loved watching football. Don't get me wrong. You know, you watch the NFL on Sundays. You watch college on Saturdays. But to me, college was always more... special to me. I loved watching.
Fans are more involved, you know. It's just more of a tradition.
I mean, growing up,
the band,
it was like,
everything.
Well, growing up too, it was like, you know, I remember watching guys like Charles Woodson. I remember watching guys like Peyton Manning. You know, like at the college level, and like I remember this is gonna sound crazy, but I was like back then. You were much more regional, you know. So I remember watching like Darnell Autry at Northwestern. I remember these guys. I remember watching Ohio State all the time. You know, I remember watching these guys like David Boston and stuff, and you're watching Florida State, which was always like the day after Thanksgiving. It was that Friday. It was like mom's putting the tree up, or I'm watching Florida State, or you know Tennessee and Florida, and you know like those games were just they
meant a lot more.
Yeah, you just had Danny Warfel for Florida. I mean, going back, Steve Spurrier and shit. You had Bobby Bowden. You had
back when Alabama Tennessee was more.
Remember Nebraska? Remember Nebraska when they had Tommy Frazier and Lawrence Phillips,
Eric Crouch.
Yeah, Eric Crouch, and you just had guys that were just.
Where are we going here?
I don't know. Just the beauty of college football, brother, and the metamorphosis of. Now we're in the college football playoff, brother. There are 4 teams. Next year, there's going to be... Is next year there going to be 12?
Over the next...
2025.
Yeah, over the next couple years. I don't know if it's next year, but...
We're talking about college football playoff fallout here, and not to just get honing in on what happened last night, but just really that 10,000-foot view of it all. I think we're going to lose a little of this magic as you get to 12 teams.
12 teams is a lot.
So,
and it's also kind of what do you do with last night, because like Alabama came in at 5.
Those were phenomenal games.
Those were phenomenal games, but it's also like Alabama came in at 5 and just I didn't do that good, brother. Do it again. Alabama did that to Kansas State and beat the absolute dog shit out of them. And it's kind of like, damn, man, what if Alabama was in there somehow? If Alabama had Ohio State space, does Alabama beat Georgia? Because Georgia clearly had an off game last night, and Alabama just beat the shit out of Kansas State. So it's like if Alabama got in at 4, does maybe Alabama?
Ohio State really showed well, I thought, last night. I mean, C.J. Stroud did stuff last night.
He improved his draft stock.
Totally.
All the questions of him not being able to run, and he's not a mobile guy, he's not very athletic. I never understood it.
I never thought that was true.
Yeah, I never really.
He still got athletic ability,
and he ran a lot last night, the most I've probably ever seen him run, and he looked good doing it.
So I don't know.
So you got Georgia and
TCU, bro. Talk to me.
Georgia's going to beat shit out of them.
Yeah,
and it's going to be probably one of the worst national championships you're ever going to see.
Yeah. This reminds me of like Boise State, Oklahoma back in, 2004 or 2006. You know, was that the Fiesta Bowl or something
like that?
That's what this reminds. It's David versus Goliath.
I'm not going to take anything away from TCU because they deserve to be there off their season and they beat Michigan.
Yeah,
they deserve to be there.
But
they are so
undermatched.
I'm not going to give them no chance.
Or overmatched.
I'm not going to give them no chance because I always tell brothers you got to play the games.
You got to play the game.
You got to play the games. You never know what could happen.
You do.
Okay, Georgia could have a real stinker of a game. Stetson Bennett could throw 4 interceptions. They could fumble the ball, muff some punts. You never know. But on paper, when you're looking at this, I'm looking at TCU is so overmatched.
They got to be perfect.
They got to play perfect. They need a game like they had against Michigan. Where Michigan got down. 2 pick sixes.
And the refs help them along the way.
Whatever, dude. Whatever. Peace. God bless.
2 pick sixes and 2 failed goal line attempts.
Yeah.
To where that's 2 extra possessions that TCU's getting where they don't
and the refs helping them a lot too. Will
you know, he's harmless. He's harmless. He's harmless.
Always, you know, work in their favor too.
Sure, but they're so overmatched, and I see Georgia taking this near loss to Ohio State as a wake up call.
Yeah,
because I think that scared them to death. They should have lost that game. Ohio State's kicker is worth his salt. He kicks that game-winning field goal and they win.
I told you all along, bro. I was like, Georgia's going to lose. Georgia's going to lose. Georgia's going to lose. And it did look like Georgia was going to lose that game. They had to me, they had no business winning.
They kept fighting back, though.
I thought Ohio State outplayed them, really.
They kept fighting back, though.
They did. They did.
And I got to watch Stetson Bennett's stupid-ass face on TV. And
dumb shit asshole.
Dumb shit asshole, still playing and going to win 2 national titles. And then next year he'll be selling used cars over at Fred's car dealership. Selling people used Fords down in Athens, Georgia, somewhere because he ain't gonna play in the NFL because he ain't no good.
No, he's way.
But he's been the benefactor of being quarterback for.
He's the rare
roster around him.
Yeah, he's like the better version of Cade McNamara. When Cade McNamara, you know, he's like just somebody that should have never really done anything.
He has the benefit of experience. He has the benefit of experience because he is like 26 years old, and Cade McNamara is still a kid. He's like 19 or 20.
Cade's like 22,
20, whatever.
Something like that.
And Stetson Bennett's like a 12th year senior.
Yeah. So I don't see a scenario, brother, where TCU has much of a chance in this game.
I mean, I see
just
scenario.
To talk about the fallout here, to talk about the next game.
It could happen, but it's probable that Georgia's going to.
Okay, let me take it back. Maybe a scenario does exist, but I'll say the probability of that scenario playing out is very, very
It's possible, but not probable that TCU ends up winning this game. Hell, I'm rooting for them because I hate Georgia. I hate them. I hate it. Can't stand them. I hate Georgia.
I think a national title at TCU would be pretty wild.
I never thought
in today's world.
I never thought in my lifetime I would see Texas Christian University play for a national title in football.
Yeah.
Now they're playing for one and got a chance to win.
Before Texas A&M too.
Texas A&M is a shit show circus.
So then you look at a little bit of Michigan and Ohio State. They're the losers of this college football playoff, brother. And we talked a little bit about this last night.
Who's better off going forward, Michigan or Ohio State, you think?
Well, here's the thing. I think setting up to next year, I think Michigan's in a little bit better position. Ohio State's going to be replacing Stroud. Henderson has already been rumored not to be coming back.
Smith and Jigba's
going to be gone. You get Marvin Harrison back, but Zach Harrison's gone on the defense. I think Tommy Two Thumbs is gone.
Was it Eichenberg?
Yeah, Eichenberg. Ohio State secondary is really not that good either, so I don't know who they have coming back.
Their defense as a whole isn't that good.
No, and I think Jim Knowles, this whole Jim Knowles thing, I don't know who you Ohio State people think you just hired, but I'm telling you right now, we're looking forward to playing you again because this time it's going to be in Ann Arbor. And
Ohio State's lost that edge.
Yeah,
they don't.
You
play.
have. I mean, you tried to establish it. I thought they played Georgia tough though. I thought they really did. They should have won.
Yeah, but they still didn't have that physicality. They were great on offense, but defensively they just did not look good the whole game.
It's tough against Georgia, though.
And Georgia's offense ain't that good. Stetson Bennett. I mean, really, all Georgia can ever do is run the ball with Kenny McIntosh. But it's like they've lost that killer instinct. And I think,
they have.
I think the culture of constantly winning in conference and constantly winning for 20 years has kind of softened them up a little bit. And it's happened to Alabama, too, over the last 15 years. There's so much winning has kind of softened Alabama up.
Call Ohio State a little bit of victim of the conference that they play in, I think, though, too. Because, and I think Michigan's kind of getting in that realm, though, where it's like, you can only beat up on the Illinois, the Indianas, the Rutgers, the Penn States, the Michigan States for so long. The Iowas, the Minnesotas, the Northwesterns.
All those teams are trash.
Yeah, I'm
sorry, brother.
No, I agree with you, brother.
It's Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Now with Luke Fickell going to Wisconsin, I think
I'm curious to see what happens.
Maybe that shakes things up. Maybe Wisconsin becomes a player again.
Well, we had talked about doing kind of a little Big Ten.
Maybe Iowa's a player next year with McNamara and Eric Altrance.
I think maybe we should do like kind of a Smith Boys podcast on the Big Ten outlook going into next year.
Maybe
because there's a lot of things happening. You had Cade McNamara and Eric Altrance transferring to Iowa, so we'll see what they happens. But overall, you look at this Michigan Ohio State stuff though in the Big Ten. It's like,
go baby.
It's either one of them teams.
Green Bay's up 14-3, baby.
Yeah. The whole season really boils down to one game because the West hasn't put out anybody that can beat somebody in the East. When you look at the two the two divisions in the conference.
Now the benefit of that going forward, though. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
You'll have your turn.
But I got a big point coming in.
I know you do.
Going forward.
I know right where you're going.
You got USC and UCLA coming into the West. Baby. Finally. The Big Ten West is going to have some type of relevance.
Yeah.
Because you got Lincoln Riley now in the in USC with Caleb Williams there. I don't think they're coming in until Caleb Williams.
I was watching that.
But UCLA's become a player now, too.
They played Pitt. And I think they lost that game, did they not?
It went down to I can't remember.
I watched that game. It was such a good football game.
It went down to the last play, and it was back and forth.
Pitt won. Now I remember Pitt won because their quarterback was like a fifth-year senior. He'd never played, and that's what JT Daniels. Yeah, and he sat behind JT Daniels and Kenny Pickett.
JT Daniels.
No, he went to West Virginia.
West Virginia. He sat behind Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, sorry, but anyways, though. Ohio State's got a lot more to replace.
We could do a whole podcast on JT Daniels.
Oh, God, we should do a JT Daniels special.
I'm JT Daniels. I started at USC and then transferred to Georgia.
Now I started Georgia, bro.
And then I transferred from Georgia to West Virginia.
Now where I'm going.
Now I'm going to Rice because I'm JT Daniels.
I go wherever I want.
I can't beat out two-star guys.
Yep.
Bum.
It's a new year. It's a new team.
He's a bum.
He's a bum.
Dumb shit asshole.
Dumb shit asshole.
So that's where I say Ohio State's got a lot more to replace in the Ryan Day. What's his little goatee thing? I mean,
Just for Men.
Yeah, the Just for Men stuff. I mean, give it up, brah. Give it up.
Yeah, you can make fun of the way Harbaugh looks too. He looks like a fool.
Yeah. Well, Michigan though, I like it going into next year. You got McCarthy back. You got JJ. You got Edwards. You got, I think, 2/5 of the offensive line's coming back, and you got some guys coming in. You got a lot of the receivers. Roman Wilson's probably coming back. I think Ronnie Bell's definitely gone. Luke Schoonmaker's gone. But you got Colston Loveland. You got Bredesen. You got a couple of the tight ends coming in. Cornelius Johnson, I don't know. But you got Emmons. You got Walker. You got other guys that are like freshmen now that are ready to kind of take over.
I like where you're heading.
You know,
you need J.J. McCarthy to really take a step forward. If he don't progress, you're in trouble.
And on the defensive side of the ball, you're going to lose Smith. You're going to lose Morris, Barrett. But a lot of those other guys are coming back. Colson's coming back. Mason Graham's coming back. Rod Moore's coming back. Will Johnson. You know, the list goes on. DJ Turner, Jamon Green, they may or may not come back. Who knows? They probably will. But they have a lot of experience. They've been to the college football playoff twice now, brother. I just think Michigan's loaded coming into next year. I really, really do. Like, I think next year could be even better than this year.
You got to change your play calling a little bit.
Here's the thing. I'm glad you brought. I'm glad you went there, brother. I'm really glad you went there, brother, because I don't know how this whole offensive coordinator thing works between Matt Weiss and Sherrone Moore. Wherever Sherrone Moore is at on the field, and then you got Matt Weiss.
You got two coordinators?
Yeah, we got a passing game guy and we got a running game guy.
Don't bullshit me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's how we construct our offensive play.
Sounds like circus.
Yeah, it does. Well, and that's what happens when you do a goddamn Philly special.
So what's Harbaugh do then? What's he manage?
Well, he likes to call Philly specials. He likes to call a handoff to Khalil Mullings, who hasn't accepted one against Ohio State.
I'm sure he's got a say in
Yeah, he likes to do dumb shit asshole type stuff when it costs us a game.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Okay? Harbaugh does like to do that type of stuff. Anyways.
I've seen it
too many times, yeah. But I look forward to next year because I think we got a lot of guys coming back. We got a lot of dogs coming back. And I think they've reloaded. They've really effectively used the transfer portal with Josiah Stewart from Coastal Carolina. They got this linebacker from Nebraska. Can't remember his name, Nausman or some shit like that. He was a true freshman last year, and he came in, and he had like 13 tackles against us. So I think Michigan's kind of reloading. They're using the transfer portal in a new recruiting kind of way.
Got to.
Yeah, you have to. You have to use
Alabama's
these,
been so successful at last few years.
Right, you have to use these tools at your disposal. So I look at Michigan going into next year, and I say we're the favorites to win the Big Ten because Ohio State's got to find a new quarterback. I'm sure Ohio State's got some 5-star guy ready to take over. I'm sure they do. However, he's got no experience, and now you have to come into Ann Arbor next year. Okay?
Oh boy, howdy. Maybe that's the game we go to.
Maybe. Yeehaw! So I look at next year in the Big Ten, and I see it's Michigan's to take.
Okay. Now, let's touch on the
oh God,
Alabama Crimson Tide outlook for next week or next year.
I thought we were doing college football fallout.
Well, I thought we were too, and then you went off on about what Michigan's going to be next year
because we were talking Michigan, Ohio State, the two losers of that, brother. So now
we so Michigan gets its own whole little podcast about what they're going to be next year.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, brother. Sorry. Yeah.
So now we can end this one and we can get into Alabama SEC outlook next year because I'm curious to see what Tennessee does, brother. I'm curious to see what Florida does. I think that's probably about. Oh, and I got Brian Kelly, LSU. You know,
so what do you got for Georgia TCU then?
Oh, Georgia. I think Georgia.
Is there a point spread and over
you know what? Let's take a gander here before we get to.
Yeah, pull that up. See what we got in there, and we'll give some predictions on that. Because that's next week. Week from tomorrow. January 9th. Big game. I'm for sure we're both going to take Georgia in that game. I'm pretty certain.
No doubt.
And I would bet Georgia is probably 8-point favorites. That's what I'm going to bet. And I'm going to bet the over-under is, something like 52.5.
So here is the CBS early predictions, picks, odds, the whole 9 yards.
Sounds good. What you got for me, brother?
I'm trying to get to it here. Georgia opens as a 13-point favorite over TCU.
This is a national championship game, and they're 2-score favorites.
So I hope the refs are happy that they rigged it for TCU.
If you don't like it, I'm sorry.
To have this type of game in front of us as opposed to Michigan in a rematch. So I'm really good job, guys. You did such a wonderful job officiating that game last night and just bending us over just because.
What do you do all the time?
Thanks.
Bet you like that.
I was so just.
All right. Well, I say Georgia. I don't know. I don't want
13. I can't find the over. Hang on. Let me see if I can find
13 points, man. God, that's a lot.
It's 13-point Georgia.
2-score game and a national championship game. And I've been pretty right on with a lot of these games.
You've been better than I have lately.
Because I've been saying that they're going to be close.
Okay, here we go. 13.5 Georgia, 62.5 total.
62.5. Wow.
Total over under. The money line is Georgia minus 500, TCU 400. 400 plus.
62.5. I'm going to take the under on that. That's a lot of points. You're talking both teams scoring 30 points, which, I mean, could happen, but
what are you saying here? I mean,
in a national championship game,
you see the playoff game?
Yeah, I did. But in a national championship game, though, big, enormously huge game like that where everything is on the line, I feel like teams play a little more conservative to not make mistakes.
I don't know.
And
I think these games get crazy out of control. I mean, look back at some of these games. LSU, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, Alabama, Clemson. I'd be like, these games get crazy, you know? I'm going to definitely say over, but I think Georgia covers.
I'm going to stick to the under, 62.5. I'll say Georgia wins 34-20. So they cover the spread at 13.5. They win by 14, and they score 54 points total. 34-20 Georgia.
34-20 Georgia. I'm going to say 45-29. 45-29 Georgia.
Okay, so you got over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say, I definitely think it goes over, just given off of what these two college football playoff games did. I know you said that, but like I feel like if I was to go back and look at previous college football championship games, dude, it just seems like these games get out of control. You know?
I hope it does.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope TCU wins. Though.
I'm really rooting for TCU. I got to be honest with you, brother. I'm rooting for TCU too.
I'm always rooting against her. I hate Georgia.
I don't want to see back-to-back Georgia because then Georgia's kind of established themselves as like
the new Alabama.
Yeah, the new Alabama, the new Clemson. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, okay. Well, till then, Smith Boys.
See you.